So today I'm going to do it a little differently. So welcome to Microsoft Excel Saudi Arabia Power Platform Meetup. And मैं हूँ आपका दोस्त and host Faraj Sheikh. And dost means in Hindi means friend, and host, you know it very well. So today we are here to connect, share, and learn. And this is a one place where it's a finite solution, and I have my superhero friends with me and the superhero community with me, where we come here, share our knowledge, learn, and connect with each other. And that's why I say in my website tagline name, we make Excel exciting. So it's like, it's my team, it's my friends, it's community, it's everyone. So we have already hit the clock. And just quickly, if you don't know me, I think most of my friends, they know me. But I'm an MVP. I'm Faraj Sheikh, your host, Faraj Sheikh, founder of excelexciting.com. And I'm an MVP. And Microsoft certified trainer, innovative educator, office master, Excel master, YouTuber, blogger, and I run these meetups. And my mission is, you know, very well, to help the community to give you some awesome, to share you some awesome knowledge, you know, on Excel, Power Platform, or anything, you know, that can make our life very easy. And to make our life very easy, today I have my friend superhero, Mr. Vivek from USA. He's in USA right now. And thank you, Vivek, for coming. And just I'll give you a quick, brief introduction about Vivek. He is he is a senior consultant on PowerApps, and he's been working almost like 2 years, and he loves to share his experience. And in fact, I learned a lot of PowerApp stuff from Vivek, and he has great and amazing stuff on PowerApps. So make sure that you feel free to check on his video as well. Okay, so I'm going to I'm shortly going to give the mic to Vivek, but before that, just in case if you have missed out some of our sessions. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So in case if you have missed out some of our sessions, you can feel free to go on YouTube/Excel Exciting, and even you can scan the QR code and you can easily find all these sessions recording available over there. And then we have the upcoming events. Okay, so you can also scan the QR code and that will connect you straight away to the upcoming meetup events on the meetup page. Make sure that you register, and then you can get the link to join it on the Zoom. So the event will be on 12th of December, the upcoming event by Brandon, where he'll be talking about custom data and what's next. So about data connections and what is the future of the data. And then we are expecting a special event that is to be announced. And we hope soon, tentatively, it will be on 18th of January 2021. Okay, so that's not 2022. That's the date in the past day. So it's in 2022. So stay tuned and make sure that you register over there. And as usual, I would like to invite everybody in the community, you know, who have those superhero skills. Just bring it to us, show it to us, show it to the community, and we would love to hear from you. So if anyone would like to come and speak on Microsoft Azure, Power Platform, Microsoft Office, anything, you can feel free to write back to me on my email address. Just a quick housekeeping. I think you all know it very well. Mostly my friends, everybody who join over here, just make sure that you keep your mic mute, or if anything is there, you can just raise up your hands. And if any Q&As are there, you can just mention Q before the question when you write it in the chat box, so it becomes easy for the presenter to find your question. And I would leave the question flow to Vivek, how he would like to take it at the end of the session or during the sessions. And this session, by the way, is getting live streamed right now. We are live on YouTube. So it's just for your information. And that's all from my side. And let me welcome my guest on the hot seat today is Vivek. Over to you, Vivek, my friend.
All right, thanks for us. Yeah, I'm excited to be here and excited to present some new stuff, hopefully. And for those of you who are already aware about PowerApps, so maybe you learned something new. So let me start sharing. Okay. All right, guys can see it fine?
Yeah, we can see this.
All right, so yeah, I'll talk about today PowerApps versus Excel formulas. The topic though says versus. It's not exactly a versus. It's more of how PowerApps and Excel formulas are similar, and also we'll talk about how you can connect PowerApps to Excel and whether you should connect it or not as well. So a lot of things around PowerApps today. So hopefully you learned something new. Okay. All right. So before I jump into all the PowerApps good stuff, let me talk some boring stuff about myself. So I'm a business applications MVP. Been an MVP for 3 years now. I'm a senior solutions consultant at Hitachi Solutions. I've been there for a year now, but before that also I was working mostly on Power App stuff, and I would say Power Platform has changed my career. I was into marketing. I have a bachelor's in electrical, master's in marketing, but I'm now building business applications. So you can imagine how much I'm passionate about this platform. So yeah, I've been power addicted. This is one of the hashtags that a lot of Power Platform people like to use, Power Addicts. And so we are Power Addicts, and we are addicted to Power Apps and Power Automate and the community for around 3 years now. So yeah, that number keeps on increasing. So I do make videos, blogs, blog posts, so you can check out my website, thatapiguy.tech. That API guy is the kind of brand that I go by, and that's because I do a lot of videos on APIs, how to connect to custom data, creating custom connectors, and a lot of cool APIs that are available on the internet, like connecting to movie databases and things like that. So check out my YouTube channel, That API Guy, and I am a bit active, I would say, on Twitter as well. So feel free to reach out to me there as well. So let's look at the agenda for today. So we'll first do a bit of introduction to Power Apps. I'm not 100% sure whether everyone knows what Power Apps is, and even if you know Power Apps, have you even used it or not? So we'll do a brief introduction. We'll jump on to talking about PowerFX, what it is, and then we'll connect to Excel. So connecting to an Excel spreadsheet in PowerApps. And also we'll compare the formulas in Excel versus PowerApps and how they are super similar. And regarding questions, I know Faraz, you're asking, I think we can take it at, you can look at the questions and we can take it at maybe after PowerFX 1. And then we can take maybe towards the end. But yeah, feel free to just combine a few questions and I can address them during the session.
Perfect.
All right, so if this is a question that you have, that I'm not a coder, can I build apps? Yes, you can. I am not a coder. I don't have any formal background in computer science or anything. And I'm building business applications now using Power Apps. So if you are even an intermediate at Excel, you can build apps. I mean, Excel is kind of I would say the backbone, the formulas and the logic in Power Apps. And that is, if you know that very well, you probably could build apps better than me. So what is Power Apps? Power Apps, it's a PowerPoint plus Excel. A funny way of saying it is when PowerPoint and Excel had a baby, they built Power Apps. and I would say it's a bit mutated version of that baby. So see, if you know PowerPoint, if you know Excel, if you combine those two technologies together, that is what helps you build apps, and that is what is PowerApps. So it's a low-code tool. It's not something that you need to know any programming language for. It's almost no code, low code, where you can drag and drop controls and build apps. And the other good thing is, now I know all of you use Microsoft Excel. All of you probably have an Office license, either through your personal license or through your Office. So Microsoft 365 license includes a version of PowerApps, I can say, where you can connect to Excel, you can connect to some standard connectors. And so basically you can build apps without even having to pay anything. And even if you don't have an Office license, if you just have your Office kind of official email, you can sign up for a PowerApps community plan or a developer plan for free, and you can use all the features and capabilities that are available. The only thing that you can't do is you cannot share the apps with others. So you can still build apps for your own use, personal use, and to just explore the technology. And there's no cost to that. So I just wanted to throw it out there so that you know that after the session, you can go and start building an app and see how it works. So let's talk about PowerFX. This is a relatively new thing. That the term is new, but it has been there in PowerApps since the beginning. So how you use formulas in Excel for filtering, doing lookups, all that kind of stuff, the formula bar, that's similar in PowerApps as well, where you put formulas, the logic and everything in the formula bar. And it looks very much similar, if you can see here, to Excel. And so PowerFX is the low-code programming language. And this was the term very recently that they kind of came up with. It was not just a term because they want to make it open source. It's open source now, where people who have a coding background as well, they can contribute, they can add more formulas. And the best thing about this is it's based on Microsoft Excel. So all the formulas that you will see today that we'll compare, you will see how it is very much similar to Excel. So the inspiration has been taken from Excel. And the reason why they have done that is because this is meant for low-code citizen developers, not for pro-code developers. So anyone who knows Excel, anyone who is a bit of, I would say, an advanced Office user, this is made for them. You can go in and start building these apps if you know. It's not, you can build an app within a few minutes, a simple app. And that's why they have started this whole thing of PowerFX, where you can even now start contributing to a GitHub repository where you can have this open source low-code programming language where you can add more formulas and help it for other people who are using PowerApps as well. So that's PowerFX. And I guess let's, are there any questions right now?
Nothing so far. Vivek, you're going
okay, good. All right. So connecting to Excel, I think this is something which you might be waiting for to hear, right? So you can connect to Excel in two ways. And we'll see a demo of it. This is not going to be all presentation. I mean, I honestly don't like to present a lot. I like to show the actual stuff in work so that it gives you more better feel. But believe me, I'll try to end the presentation as soon as possible. We'll do more of the actual, I'll show you the actual PowerApps interface. But so connecting to Excel in two ways, you can either import static data, or you can connect to an Excel document on OneDrive. And this is just a comparison to kind of make you understand how it exactly works. So if it's an Excel document on OneDrive, it's a dynamic connection because it's on cloud. If you add some data, it will get reflected in the app. If you remove some data, if you change any data, that will also get reflected in the app. And similarly, if you make some changes from the app, that will get reflected in the Excel document. So it's a dynamic connection. And you can use both OneDrive for business and OneDrive, the personal one. Whereas the import from Excel as a static data is something that you can do if you want to have some local data in your app. So it's not a dynamic connection. Once you import, you are done. You cannot, it's not something, if you change in Excel in your PC, it's not going to change in the app. There needs to be a cloud connection for it. But you can import, so let's say if you want to import a list of countries as a static data, that's not going to change that easily, right? So you can do that as static data, and that way it's much more faster when somebody is loading. So those are the two ways. The other point is it's not stored locally. In the case of static data, the data is stored locally. The size limit. So if it's a OneDrive, the personal one, there's a 5 megabyte size limit. And for OneDrive for business, there's a 25 megabyte size limit. So I know generally it doesn't, but for small files, of course, it's not going to go beyond that. But if you are thinking of connecting a huge set of data, probably you're not thinking of the right data source. There are other data sources that you can connect to as well. Excel is not the only data source. And there's a 2000 rows limit. It's not exactly a limit as such, but beyond 2000 rows, if you have beyond 2000 rows in Excel, if you try to filter data, it won't do it correctly. And we come to that in some time now. And the static data, if you're importing, you have 15,000 rows limit. Now, again, you can import multiple files. And so there could be 5 files with every file having 15,000 rows. And you can combine that data in the app later. So you can go beyond 15,000, but not in one Excel file. And the major kind of consideration would be when you are connecting to a document on OneDrive, the file can get locked when the app is in use. So that's something to consider about, and we'll come to that in a later slide as well. So some considerations when you are going to connect to an Excel document. The first thing is the data should be in an Excel table format. So it's not just if you build columns and rows, write down data, it's not going to PowerApps is not going to recognize that. You need to put it in that Excel table format. Name your tables, otherwise it would be hard when you are trying to import them to see what table it is. And you want to keep the file closed when you're working on the app or using the app. And try to avoid spaces or special characters in column names. It adds some different characters in PowerApps, and it doesn't look that neat. So it's just these are just some considerations to keep in mind when you're working with Excel. All right, so let's switch on to showing it to you in action. So let me change the screen. Okay, let me first show you the document, and then we'll go to PowerApps. All right, so this is a document where I have it's 2 tabs, 2 tables, And when I said the table format, I'm pretty sure you understood that, but just re-specifying that you have to have it in this kind of Excel table format. And if you see here, if I go to the table design, I have a table name site inspector. Generally, otherwise that'll be called table 1, table 2, and you won't know which table it is. So name your tables. And this one is called site photos. So, and we have some columns in here, and we'll see this data show up in PowerApps. So now that we have seen this, let's jump on to the PowerApps. All right. Okay. So this is the, if you don't know how to go to PowerApps, actually I should have covered that. So if you go to office.com, your Office kind of hub, you will see if you click on the waffle menu on the top left, PowerApps should be an app that you'll see here. And if you don't see it, just click on all apps and search for PowerApps. And you should see PowerApps show up. So that's how you can go to PowerApps. So if you have an Office license, you probably have PowerApps as well, at least something that you can try out. So on the homepage, you will see some ways to start building an app. You'll see a list of apps. You'll see an option to start creating an app from blank. And then the thing that we want to try is trying to start building an app from an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on this Excel online. And it will show up all the connections that I have. Now, if you are doing it for the first time, it might not show you any connections here because you have to create a connection to a data source first before it even shows up. So if you don't see it, click on new connection and it will give you the list of connectors and you can search for the OneDrive. Yeah, OneDrive for Business or OneDrive. And once you click on that, it will ask you to sign in. Sometimes it won't because you're already signed in here in PowerApps using your Office credentials. So it won't ask you, but otherwise you'll have to sign in and create a connection. So once I click on a connection, of course, I will get a list of my folders in there. So I'm going to choose PowerApps. I'm going to go to that folder where I have the Excel file. When I click on this, this is my Excel file. Now it will show me a list of tables that I can start the app with. And of course, it has to take some time when I'm presenting. All right, so we have these. So the two tables that I was showing you, it shows me that. Now, it's not necessary that you only can connect to one table, but what we are trying to do here is we are building an app using a data table from Excel. So to start with, we can only start with a table, one table, and then we can add more later in the app. So I'm going to click on Connect. And now it's going to try to build an app for me using that data source. So it might take up to sometimes a minute to build that. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to build an app with some screens already in it. So if you see here, this is how PowerApps kind of the studio looks like, where you have screens on the left. You have your this is the tree view, and this is the actual screen, how it would look like. And then you have properties of each control that you're adding on here. So I'll give you a brief kind of overview of the PowerApps Studio, and then we'll look at the data source itself. So if you see here, this is the tree view as I showed you. It shows you the different screens and the different controls. You can insert controls. So there are different types of controls like input controls, display like labels. Then you can insert galleries. So there's a layout, vertical gallery or horizontal gallery. You can insert controls like media controls, shapes, all different types of. So these are called controls, which you can click on and drag and drop on your screen here, wherever you want to place it. Then inside the data, we connect it to the site inspector table. So it shows me that you're connected to this. And what's the connection, the OneDrive for Business, and what is that email that I'm using here. I can upload media as well, some images, some local images, and there's some advanced stuff. And then on the right-hand side, if I click on a control, it shows me the properties for it. So this is a brief overview of how the PowerApp Studio looks like. And the app that got built using the Excel table that we gave, it has 3 screens. There is a browse screen, which is a list of the rows. Then there's a detail screen, which is each row, the details for one specific row. And there's an edit screen that it creates, which has an option to input the details for each row. So let's just play the app and see what we can do here. So to play the app, you're clicking on this play button where you can preview the app. So here I can actually click on things and see how it works. So here it shows me the list of locations. I can click on a location and it shows me the details about it. I can click on the edit button and I can change this to 9th. And then, so I change the address, I can change other details as well. And then I can click on submit item. And this is gonna, so if you see there are loading dots in the top, it will save the item. Sometimes it's the first time, so it could take some time, but generally it won't. And we'll see, it should change. One reason why it could take some time right now is probably because I have the Excel file open, and that's why we should close the Excel file. And I just did that now. Yeah, if you see, this is the error that I got. This is a good way to see what probably you should be doing. Right? So you have, the file is being logged. And so the file was open and that's why it couldn't write. So now that I've closed it, let's see if this time it works. Sometimes it takes up to like 3-4 minutes after the file is closed to get unlocked. But yeah, so that's why Excel has some challenges when you are connecting to Excel as a data source. So it just did. And now if I go back, now that 8th has changed to 9th. And if I open the Excel, it will be changed over there as well. We'll come back to that later. All right, so now let's look at the formula here for a minute. And let me just change this completely and just call it site inspector. All right, so here is a list of locations from the Excel. So you can see that this is a gallery in the PowerApps, and I've connected it to the site inspector table. So similar to Excel, you have your property here. So a gallery's property is like items. And then here is your formula bar, again, similar to Excel, where you can write the formula for what you want to see in this gallery. So a simple formula would be to sort, and this is just an example, we'll cover this in detail. But if I click on, or if I write this formula where sort, and then I want to sort it by let's do the title field. So if you see, I get in the IntelliSense actually tells me what all columns are there in the Excel, and I can choose from that. So this sort is similar to the Excel sort function as well. So I can do ascending, descending. And now it will try to do that. So now it's sorted by the title. Now I know there's numbers in that. So I don't know exactly how the sorting would work in this case, but it's now sorted based on the title ascending. So, yeah, this is how you can connect to an Excel spreadsheet. And if you see these individual kind of labels, this says this item dot address, and actually we should change it to this item dot title so that we can see. So there you go. Yeah, this makes more sense now. So we sorted on the title, and now it's sorted based on, so it's not numeric, it's alphabetical. So that's why it's doing 1, 1, 1, 5, 1, 6, and then 2, 6, 3, 5. So you can see, you can type in, so if I want to see the city and state, I can say this item. So this item is a way to kind of reference to a property of that table in a gallery. So I can call this item.city, put an ampersand to concatenate. I can put a comma in double quotes and a space, and then put an ampersand, this item. And then again, if I put a dot, it again gives me an option to choose things from here. I can put state. So now I have city and state. So again, the expressions, if you see here, the formulas similar to how I would write in Excel. And I've just did concatenation of the city and state. I think, so that's all on the connection part, and we'll switch on to formulas. But before we do that, any questions? Okay, so I see 2 questions. How about CSV files?
Yeah.
I think CSV files won't work for the dynamic connection, because only XLSX and XLSB, those are the formats which PowerApps accepts. So you'll have to probably convert it to an Excel file and then read it. And the other question I see, can we lock any field so that the user cannot change it? That's a good point. So let's switch on to the edit screen. So here I can show what I want to, right? So I don't have to give them all the fields in here. So the way this works is there's a form control, which is used to input data back to an Excel or edit the data in an Excel. So when I insert, let's do this. Let's just add a new screen. And I'll insert a control for form. So this is a way to connect or read data or edit data in a data source where you can insert a form control and connect to it. So it tells me connect to data. So I can go here and choose the data source, which is Site Inspector. And now there's an option to edit fields. So I can click on add field. And let's say if I only want the user to choose to be able to change the title, state, description, city, address. I'll actually add a few more columns. I'll show you what I want the user to edit and what I don't want. So if I show the user only these columns, they can only edit these. I can show more here in this gallery, I can show anything I want to any column. This is a read only. The user cannot make any edits here. But in here, if I add that as a field on the form, they can make an edit. Again, there's an option to show this. So let's do this. Let's click on this composer building 15, click on edit, and now it has all these columns in here, right? So what we'll do is, let's say I don't want them to be able to change the description or change the city. Probably that makes more sense. So what I can do is I can go to the display mode. Generally, it's locked because PowerApps doesn't want you to make all these changes by yourself if you are a new user. But if you are an advanced user, you can make those changes. So I can click on unlock. And now what I can do is I can go back to the display mode. So there's 3 types of display mode. Right now, what it's doing is it's going in the edit mode. I can call it display mode dot. So there's a disabled, there's an edit, and there's view. So I'm going to say, I just want you to see this, not edit it when you are looking at it. So now if a user is trying to edit anything, they cannot do anything here. They can only make changes on these fields. This is just a read only, so they cannot make any edits. So yeah, you have control over whatever you want the user to change. All right, I think that was a really good question. And I think that's the kind of power of PowerApps, where in an Excel, if you share it with the user, they can, I know you can do some locking and you can, it requires some advanced ways, right? To be able to lock some parts of an Excel. But in this case, this is a more user-friendly way for, you can publish this app. And actually, if I publish this app, this will be available on my phone and I can use it and I can share this app. So it's pretty easy to build this app. But yeah, you can have control over whatever fields you want to show, whatever you want not to show, and accordingly build that app. So, all right, let's switch on to the next part, which is the formulas. And I'm going to just switch to the presentation for a minute, and then we'll switch back here. Sorry, I just keep doing this switch. I have a much wider screen. That's why if I share the whole thing, it just looks too big. All right. All right. So before we go to the formulas part, let's just cover this topic quickly, which is Excel a good data source? I know generally being on the consulting world, we never use Excel as a data source because it's not reliable, and that's why I wanted to talk about this. So Excel as a data source, I would say it's good enough for personal productivity use cases. So if you're using PowerApps for some personal use case, you're trying to build a to-do list or something like that, Excel is good enough. You are the only person accessing it, so nobody has opened the Excel or using it. You're using the app, so it's good enough, and you're only the one user. The issue that comes is Excel as a data source is not delegable. So if you recall, I talked about 2000 row limit. By default, it's set to 500, but you can change it to 2000 and in PowerApps. But the reason, so delegation means if your Excel has more than 2000, let's say it has 2500 rows, and you want to do a filter on that where the name starts with A. If you have 2100 rows with that, where the name column starts with A, it will only return you 2000. It will return the first 2000 rows which have the name A, and that's it. So even if your first 2000 rows have A and the next 500 have another 100 rows with starting with the column with A, it won't return it. It's the limit. It doesn't do the filter on the data source. It does it on the PowerApps side. So it's not delegated to Excel. It's something that PowerApps does on its side. So when I say on its side, it's like you're doing it client side versus server side. If you are aware about that terminology, it probably would make more sense. So PowerApps does client side, and it doesn't tell Excel, hey Excel, do the filter and then give me the 2000 rows. It does the filter on the first 2000 rows and just returns the result. So that's why if you have less than 2000 rows, Excel is good enough. But if you are going beyond 2000, which you would in a business use case, you might want to look for some other type of data source. The other point is it's not reliable when multiple people are using the app, because one person might be removing some data while you are seeing that data in the app, and that will create some issues. And also, if somebody is using the Excel when you are using the app, I guess the Excel will get logged for the user, or it will get logged for you to be able to write to it. So that's why it's not reliable that way. SharePoint lists are a much better option, because, and also if you have an Office license, you probably have a SharePoint is included with that, and you can create a SharePoint list without any additional licensing cost. So you can use SharePoint lists. And now if you are trying to build for like a relational full-fledged database, Microsoft Dataverse, which is kind of the Power Platform's relational database, or SQL Server are the best options, I would say. Now, those are not free. You have to use a PowerApps standalone license, and you can go to the PowerApps pricing page to understand how the licensing works, which is a bit complicated, but I would say it will involve additional license cost. It's not free. Again, if you want to build it for your own usage, you can use the community plan. You cannot share those apps with anyone else, but you can still use Dataverse or even SQL Server in the community plan for free. So these are some reasons why if you go to a Power Platform person and if you tell them that you're using Excel as a data source, they'll make a big frown. They won't like it. But what I wanted to communicate is you can still use it, but for some light purpose. And if it's for a person, it's good enough. All right, so let's switch to comparing formulas now. So we'll go through all these formulas, and if you, what we'll try to do is we'll look at Excel, we'll look at PowerApps, and we'll try to exactly see how the formula is exactly same or a bit different in some cases. We'll see how it looks like. So for this, I will have to share my white screen because I want to do a comparison. If you're not able to see it, I guess let me know and we'll see what we can do there. Let me start sharing my whole screen now. All right, so yeah, it's going to be a bit wider this time. All right, so let me open up the Excel. Probably closed it. And we'll try to compare them side by side. Let me minimize. Okay, minimize this. All right. For us, can you confirm if it's too small, or is it fairly visible? I can.
You can just zoom the little exercise. Yeah.
Zoom a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. That's good.
All right. Okay. So let's start with the math formulas, which are a pretty simple one. So let me open up a new blank screen. So what we'll do is we'll try to create, go through some formulas and go see how it looks like in Excel, and how we probably even just copy paste and see how if it works. So I'm gonna type in equals sum 1. Let's do a bit better math. 12, 21. So here I'm gonna copy this exact same thing, go to the formula bar for this. So I have to, I mean, there's no kind of Excel cells in this case. So you have to insert a label or some kind of control where you can copy the formula in. So I want to show that sum. So I can put in that. Now it tells this is not wrong. I mean, correct, because probably it doesn't like this. So I mean, this is probably a bad example. Okay, it doesn't want, I forgot that. Yeah, so the equal to sign is already there, so we don't have to copy the equal to sign in this case. If you see here, the equal to sign is already there. So I don't have to copy that. And if I paste, I mean, if I had pasted just that formula after it would have copied it correctly, we would have had that. Let's do that now. Let's copy this exactly from sum, paste it. Now, some cases it doesn't like.
So would it be possible for you to zoom the screen for the Power Apps?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little bit more. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I will do that. Let me make this a bit bigger. Yeah, and we minimize this. Is this better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, yeah, good. All right, so yeah, basically it did that sum, and we have that now. So the other thing that I wanted to show you was if you want to do it dynamically, right? So if you have two, like if I wanted to do it sum of two cells here, 12, 21, I'm doing sum this and this. Now, how do I do this in PowerApps? So to do that, I need to input, like, I need to have some input from the user. So I'll add the input control. So I need a text input. There's no number input as such, but you can change the text input type to a number. So I'm gonna drag and drop that. I'll put 2 of them. And on the properties side, we will change the format to number. So you can choose a default, but we will not go into that all the details right now. What we want to do is just see that sum. So in this case, I have to refer to the cells. Now in PowerApps, I'll have to just say text. We go to the tree view actually. So it's called text input 1 and text input 2. So I'll call it text input 1. Text input 2. And now if I go to 12, so it's doing it dynamically. If I put 21, I have that sum. So this is how that sum, I mean, I know it looks pretty simple, but this is what I wanted to show was it's very similar to how the formulas for PowerApps have been inspired from Excel. So let's look at a filter formula. So if I wanted to filter this table and I wanted to just see the Redmond campus, I'd be doing filter, filter, site inspector, and then I'll say site inspector, subtitle column, equals this Redmond campus, and then this is the empty thing. So now I have this 2 of these rows here, I guess, which shows me the filtered list here. So the same formula or a similar formula, I would say we'll apply in PowerApps. Okay, so here I have that gallery. I want to do a filter. I'll say filter site inspector. So that's my table. And now it will, so if you see here, it's much more intuitive. I would say a bit more intuitive than Excel to understand what it's doing here, and gives you these options as well. The IntelliSense is pretty nice. So I can choose a column. So I want to choose subtitle. So if I start typing it, it shows up, and I can just click on this equals admin campus. And it just did the filter, and I have those two buildings. So again, a formula which is quite similar, and you can kind of do the filtering here. So this was a table kind of reference I wanted to show. Now let's do a logical one. So what I can do is I can change the color of the title based on whether the campus is, I guess we can check something here. Let's see. So let's say if the campus is Redmond, we want this title to show a red color. Now I know I'm not exactly sure how I do it in Excel, but I wanted to show how the formula works in the if formula works. So if I say if this item, right? So this item is the way to refer to a specific property. This item. Oops. So sometimes it doesn't, the case has to be correct, otherwise it doesn't like it. And then I say this item dot title, or sorry, subtitle equals admin campus. Need to make it by the case. Okay. We took that. I guess I should have. Let me just do this. Let's leave this to this item. I'll copy this. Took the wrong property. So this item dot title. You want to change the color. So for the color, we actually have to go click on that and then choose that property. So I can click on the drop down here, or I can go to the property here. So I'm going to go to the color property. Color, and I'll say if this item, so I just copied that same formula. So if it's Redmond campus, we'll say red. Some colors you can just define it like this. There are some standard colors which it knows. So if you see now, for the red, now we'll have to filter, remove that filter, so that we can see all. Okay, so let's minimize this. Okay, so you see here, if it's that Redmond campus, it shows it in red, otherwise it keeps that color. So this is another way to kind of use the logical one, which helps you do that if-else condition in PowerApps. Similarly, you have the switch one as well. So switch would be based on, so if this item dot, again, we'll do it subtitle. If it's Redmond campus. So you're doing the switch value, match value, and the match result. And do this. So I will do red. Now if it's Bellevue campus, we'll call it, let's say, green. And then if it's Kirkland campus, let's say give it gray. So if you see, it just applied that switch case, and you can see the color is based on that. So again, just wanted to show you the comparison, how similar it is with Excel. And if you know Excel, you can start building these apps and build this logic. I think let me see if I missed out on any. Okay, well, let's do some text one as well, and date time, and then we'll take some questions. So let's go to screen one here. We'll do some text one. So let me add a text label. We'll do concat. So this is one thing which I guess, yeah, concatenate, and then I can do A, B. If I copy this, paste it. I wish it worked, but I think it's just the case which it doesn't like, but it's the exact same formula, does the same thing. And then if you want to do some date time one, you can do that. We can do an up, so you can combine expressions as well. So if I wanted to change it to the uppercase, if I do that here, changes it. Oops, I guess I just removed the whole thing. So yeah, and then let's just do some date time ones. So I'm gonna add a date time picker. So this is a type of input that I can add. It is defaulting to today's date here, and I can add a label is today. So I'm gonna say if is today, and then choose the date value. So I'm gonna say the date picker 1. The only thing here is you cannot, so in Excel, if you are doing this, you can click on that cell and it picks that. In PowerApps, it doesn't do that. I wish it did. It would be nice, but you have to type in everything. The IntelliSense will show you some options, but yeah, you cannot choose that control, not click on it and it select. So I'm gonna say date picker 1 dot selected date. If it's today, then say yes. Otherwise, say no. So it is yes. And if I go here, if I choose 16th, let's say no. So I think that's all on the comparison of formulas. I just wanted to show you quickly what all different types of formulas are there. So similar to how you can go to Excel and click on that formulas bar and see the different types, you can go to PowerApps, click on like different types here. So text shows you all the different formulas available, and this keeps increasing: logical, table, date, time, math. And if you want to see what each of these does and how to use it, I have added that link to the formula reference in the presentation, which I'll be sharing. And this is the link which gives you all the list of formulas that are available in PowerApps. If you click on each one of them, it will show you how to exactly use it, give some examples, syntax, everything. Most probably you won't require it because if you know Excel, you probably know this better, but yeah, you always have to. There are some things which are a bit different and you have to come here to you see how to use them. All right, so I think let me switch on to the presentation quickly. Let's think, yep, some resources here. There's a connector, for the Excel Online connector for OneDrive for Business and OneDrive. There are some other limitations as well, but all of those have been listed in this document reference for OneDrive for Business and the OneDrive personal one, the formula reference, which I just showed, and also some details on PowerFX, what it is and how it's kind of further improve in the future. All these details are here. So at this point, I think I've covered everything. We will switch on to any questions you guys have, any other things that you would want me to share. All right, so let's look at it.
The question in the chat, Vivek.
What's that?
What training venues would you recommend for a deep dive into PowerApps? Yeah,
that's a good question. Now, the best way to, well, for a deep dive, there is, I would say there is not one place where you can learn everything, right? So there is on PowerApps. Let me actually see if I can share that. Give me one second. All right. So let me just go to the PowerApps. Actually, make a PowerApps. So if you go to that PowerApps homepage, there is a learn. There are Microsoft Learn paths. So there's guided learning where you can click on this guided learning, get started, and it takes you through getting started with PowerApps, Canvas apps, and it has exercises and everything. So I would say this would be your starting point. This is not deep dive. This is more of starting. Now, I would say the best way to learn is to just try building apps by yourself, but you can also sign up for there's PowerApps app in a day courses, and those are all free. You can go to ak.ms/app in a day, and let's see if this is the correct link. I'll just paste it. Okay, I think that's yeah, I'll see if I can share that link, but there's, if you just search for app in a day, PowerApps, there are some virtual training that happen, and now because everything's happening virtually, these are available online, and you can sign up one which works for your time zone. But yeah, I think this is an old one, but yeah, app in a day is a good place to start. Kind of, yeah, this is the app in a day. If you see, I don't know if, but you can look for one which is more suitable to your time zone, maybe in India one. So there's some coming up. These are old ones, I guess. But yeah, there are always new ones in here that get added. This is a good way to learn everything around PowerApps, the starting point. And then the deep dive way is to just get into, there's a lot of good videos by Shane Young. So if you search for PowerApps on YouTube, you'll see Shane Young videos, a good friend of mine, and his videos are amazing. There's April Dunham as well. So I would say these YouTube channels are the ways to get more deep dive resources on PowerApps. All right, so the next question I see, there seems to be a number of limitations. Use of Excel as PowerApps under active deployment, that these issues will be resolved. I would bet that won't be, because Excel is not, Excel is a good data source to start learning PowerApps, but for enterprise level data, Excel is not a place to store data. If you see any of your current business application in your companies, nobody relies on Excel as a database. It might be some legacy application which could be connected to an Excel on a shared kind of file server, but it's not recommended. So I don't think PowerApps is gonna try to improve that, because they have their own SQL kind of server type of database, which is a relational database where you can have data which is tables which are related to each other, where like let's say if it's a checklist inspection where you have stores, inspections, users, all that related to each other, and you would need like a relational database like a SQL server or Microsoft's Dataverse to do that. So yeah, unfortunately, the answer to that is Excel won't get improved. Are there any cheat sheet references to get me started? I want to say there is one. ak.ms. No, I know everyone likes a good place to start. Yeah. I'm gonna try to look for that, because I know that, these are good. They're the official Microsoft documentation, but there are some other kind of community resources which are much better. But anytime you have questions, go to the PowerApps forum. The PowerApps community forum is a great place. Any questions that you have are probably there, but yeah, for proper training, what I can do is once I find that link, I know there's a good one where all resources have been combined in one place. I'll share it with Faraz, and we can share it out to the team here.
Sure. And what I'll be doing it, that whatever the links you Vivek will share it, I'm going to put it on the follow-up email of the meetup, as well as I'm going to drop it on the YouTube link as well. So YouTube, my friends who are on YouTube right now, don't worry, you are also going to get those links.
Yep. All good questions. I know it's sometimes. I'll just share my story, how I learned. When I started this, I started when PowerApps was very new. There were no YouTube videos, nothing. The learning paths were also not there. I just found PowerApps. I saw that on Office 365, clicked on it, started building something. So if you are a power user of Office 365, I would say just go and start building something. And if you face issues, search Google is your best guide, and you'll find a lot of resources now. When I started, there were not a lot, and we just learned ourselves. But yeah, I'm not saying that's the way to learn, but that's also one of the ways to learn.
Perfect. I don't see any questions right now. Ray is saying thank you from YouTube. Wonderful. So, thank you, Vivek. It was lovely, the comparison between those Excel, because this group is about Excel more, and I'm trying to integrate that love of PowerApps with Office, so that we can utilize the entire Office, when people can experience the beauty of this, how it's synchronized, and this is, as you absolutely rightly said, that if you want to learn, you have to explore it. And as Vivek has given a good resource, that you can download, you can go and subscribe for free community plan, developer kit, and you can go and subscribe it over there, and you can explore it, just play around it. Anything is there, just put it on the community site. And I have personally experienced it on the community site. There are a lot of people who are just jumping in and giving you solutions. And I was one of the person who used to ask frequently questions over there on Power Apps and Power Automate. It's a great place to learn there. And I think we can just take one last question from Ray from YouTube. What is the most useful or Power Apps you have created? Okay. What are the most useful or Power App you have created, and how it has changed the way you work? Anything you would like to share on that, Vivek?
That's
It would
a
really
good
interesting to
one.
hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is for a personal use. As I talked earlier, when I introduced myself, I do a lot of API stuff. I can like connecting to like different APIs available online. So one issue during the pandemic, not exactly a big issue, but would be when you're watching stuff online, you you have some subscription services like Netflix or Amazon Prime and stuff, and you don't know what to watch. So I connected to an API which has all that data for all the movies and TV shows on Netflix, Prime, and things, and I just hit a random button and it gives me a random movie based on the subscriptions that I have. I can watch, and that I mean, not a very useful app, but still useful. And it's a fun app that I built, which I still use. And I think I made a video on that as well. I should share that. Yeah.
Vivek really have right now. Vivek, what he has showed, he's just the tip of the iceberg. If you really want to explore, it's a deep ocean. Power Apps is really amazing, and the way the technology works is fantastic. It really automates it. You can take the feedbacks, you can customize the feedback. Uh, some things are there at the plant and production. Like you have. I
Yeah.
can give you a very good example of logistics. Let's say that you are in a packing company, and by the way, you can even scan the codes and you can update the information. So it is on that level of things are available in Power Apps. So
Yeah, I would just add, I guess, I mean, I know I talked about the personal one, but like more for work, we generally build a lot of these checklist inspection apps,
yeah,
and that's pretty, I mean, that could work for almost any business, because you always have some business process which involves going through a checklist of things. You always have these forms which someone creates. You always have these people who you have a paper form that they need to enter and do a checklist. So you can build those apps. You can have a data source like SharePoint list, connect to it, and people can go through that checklist on an app rather than. So it's a more guided way for them to go through things rather than going open in Excel and doing those things. So yeah, I think checklist inspections is a great one. I just wanted to add also that Power Apps within Power Apps within Teams is something that you can use kind of with your Office license as well. So that allows you to create that Dataverse, the relational database, but it's a more lighter version of, I would say, Dataverse, but you can still create the whole you can build a checklist inspection app. There are templates also available. So if you go to Teams, search for Power Apps in Teams, and you can start building from a template. Just click on that button. It will create the whole app for you, and you can start using it today for your any business case as well. So Power Apps within Teams has grown a lot. Check that out as well. As Faraz mentioned, I've just shown you very high level thing right now and try to show you more towards the Excel stuff, which will create that interest. But there's a lot to learn in Power Apps. There's a lot you can do with Power Apps. which I've not even talked about.
Wow, perfect. That was lovely, Vivek, lovely. So we are going to end on YouTube now. Thank you, Vivek, for coming over here and
Thank you for having me.
presenting on YouTube, presenting on Saudi Arabia Excel Power Platform, and I hope this merger, and which I'm trying to do, connecting the Power World to the Excel office. I hope, I'll be able to be successful with all of my friends who are there in Power Community and Excel, and
Yeah,
would happen someday.
definitely.
And last but not the least, make sure that, my friends, that we are going to have the next meetup on 12th of December. Yeah, that's on 12th of December. And make sure that you subscribe to the meetup page, and can even subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, and go and hit and subscribe to Vivek, our hot seat guy today. That API guy. He's over
That
here.
API guy.
Yes, that
Yes.
API guy. So trust me, when you go and watch Vivek videos, you are going to blow off from your seat. And last but not the least, usually I ask my presenters now who is coming to say some last words before we end the YouTube live session. Any last words, Vivek? Any kind of quotes or anything, you can give it from the James Bond movie or anywhere, whatever you like,
I would say anyone can. I mean, I want to keep it towards the Power Platform stuff, and I shared, right. It changed my career, and it can change yours as well. So anyone can build apps. You have, if you think you are a problem, you like problem solving, probably look into more of business application stuff, because I mean, this is something I'm really passionate about. And I think a lot of people who are passionate about Excel are generally some people who like to be more power users, I would say. So yeah, you can do this. You can, if you are interested, just do more.